Welcome to the Cincy Postcast. I'm Kevin Wallace, and before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you about our friends over at Streetside Brewery. That's right, they're back for a new year, a new season for FC Cincinnati. Streetside has been the home of the Postcast all last year, and baby, we're looking good this year as well. Streetside, fantastic brewery over on the east side of Cincinnati on Eastern Avenue. It is a great place. You got to check them out. They have so many different great styles of beers. They got something for everybody. And I love telling you about these. They always have some good events going on there. Let me tell you about this one. Crochet 101 with Yarn Over Creations. That is happening Monday, the day that you are probably listening to this. It is going on from 6 to 8 p.m. You can pre-order your tickets. $26. You get scarf supplies and a beer. Come on. It's pretty good. It looks like they still have some spots available. Those spots are limited. So there you go on that one. They also got Pint Nights returning January 28th, 6 to 9 p.m. Go check them out. They're always offering some special beers, some special discounts, all sorts of good stuff. Hey, while you are there, maybe not on Pint Night, but on another night, mention the Postcast. They will knock $1 off of your beer for mentioning us at checkout. It's a really cool deal just for having to admit you listen to this podcast in public. Again, huge thank you to Streetside for sponsoring this episode. Go check them out over in Columbia, Tusculum. Use that promo code. Again, just mention the Postcast podcast when you're checking out, clearing out your tab. They'll knock $1 off of your beer. And thank you, Streetside. Looking forward to another season. And on today's episode, oh boy, what is there not to talk about? We've got new signings heading to FC Cincinnati. FC Cincinnati has seemingly signed their starting left wing back. Let's talk about that. There's center back depth coming to help us as well. Those U22 spots are getting used up. Can't wait. Also, the latest, Lucho Acosta, Alvaro Barrial. What the heck is going on with Kubo? We try to dive into it. We get to as much as we can there. We wrap it up in part 2 with Patreon questions, including favorite soccer movie or TV show and how to come to terms with Lucho Acosta moving on. What could have changed it? Is there a butterfly effect moment that happened earlier this year? We dive into all of it. Enjoy this postcast. And joining me to talk about all of that and more, joined by the one and only Grayson. Grayson, many people are asking, you were not on the show last week. Chief was there. This time around, Chief is not here. You are here. Is everything okay between you and the Chief?
Yeah, I think that's up to Chief.
Ooh, you know, okay. Ball is in his court.
We'll see. We'll see.
He's ducking you. I think that's what's happening here.
Yeah, many people are saying he's ducking me. There's been a resurgence, I hear, of Pod Wars.
Yes.
I think he just can't handle the smoke. Ohio State won the national championship, and some of us have a renewed vigor. And I think Chief is floundering a bit.
I was going to offer my condolences to you. Sorry for your loss. You are stuck with Ryan Day for probably a decade now, no matter what. So, hopefully it was worth it.
I mean, well, I guess we'll see. I mean, he might get picked up by an NFL team in a couple of years, but
true.
You know, winning solves a lot of problems, right? Like,
yes.
I don't endorse the idea that like you keep somebody around forever because they might win a championship. But if you do keep somebody around and they do win a championship, it's
hard to argue.
It's hard to let them go.
Yeah, it takes a lot, I will say, to turn Notre Dame into the underdog team that America is pulling for. And Ohio State's one of the few schools and teams that can really do that. So I appreciated that from a narrative perspective. Also, as a UC fan, Notre Dame is basically the UC program from a couple of years ago, just moved up the highway a little bit. So that was fun.
Well, you had an Ohio State grad coaching Notre Dame.
Yes.
So it really was like a win either way.
Right.
I've been watching and learning from, in particular, the St. Louis City fans, taking every every accomplishment that you might be able to attach to somebody with any connection to St. Louis at all, somehow becoming a trophy for St. Louis City. But I was fully ready to take that into my own way of thinking. Where had Notre Dame pulled it out, I would have said, well, it just shows that had Ohio State hired an alum.
An Ohio State man, as we say.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. I'm sure Chief is out there somewhere listening. We wish...
I'm sure he's as happy as I am.
Let's discuss how happy that is, Grayson, because this FC Cincinnati team is in flux, but I will say it is starting to take shape. This week, we got a lot of news, some clarifying information. It's hard not to go with the new signings first, but is there a topic related to the FC that's jumping out at you that we should go to first?
No, I think the new signings are, I guess still rumored signings, but we had Gilberto Flores' mother talking on Paraguay radio like 4 days before it hit what let's call like mainstream US media.
Yes.
So it was really funny when Tom Bogert put out his social post where he said, FC Cincinnati is close to signing Gilberto Flores on a U22 contract from Club Libertad in Paraguay, and then you have a bunch of FC Cincinnati fans saying like, "Oh, great, now it's official." It's like it's not official,
right? No,
like first of all, Tom Bogert tweeting about it is reliable.
Yeah,
it's not official. It's official when FC Cincinnati tweets about it. That's what makes it official. If we are like splitting that hair.
And that's a fair hair to split because, again, before Tom, the only source you had was Flores' mom and current club president saying that this deal was virtually done. And
it wasn't just them. It was also not everybody is following the ins and outs of Paraguay
1080 AM or whatever it is.
1080 AM. I forget, like El Gran Final, I think was the program. But first you had I think club president or sporting director of the club that Flores had recently been on loan with and just left to go back to his home club.
That's right.
Club Libertad. Then you had Flores' mother.
Pretty reliable.
Again, his mother was on the radio, and you say like, well, how do you know it was his mother? I did not just take Paraguay radio for it. I found his mom's Instagram.
That's called journalism, folks.
And then 3, you had the president of Club Libertad talking about it. And I agree. Like in many, many circumstances, it makes sense. Like, let's wait for you see like a random tweet in a foreign language.
Yeah.
Let's
absolutely.
wait for Tom Bogert to, source it, right?
Yeah.
Or somebody reliable to source it.
Yeah.
In this case, I think it was okay to assume it was getting done after his mother said it.
You can at least say something's in the works, right? Maybe it still falls apart at this point, but like certainly a name you should have had on your radar.
I need to go to journalism school or something, because even because I know that someone like Tom is not really going to like reference chatter on Paraguay radio.
Right.
But Laurel in her report mentioned there had been rumors in Paraguay media or something, Paraguay radio or whatever. Are you not allowed to mention that his mother said it? Is there some norm where we have to pretend his mom didn't go on the radio and say he was coming here?
Right. Like, I get it's unusual, right? And it's not something you get to write often. But I would think that would make it the fun part. You don't get to write this that often, that a player's mom is out there telegraphing a move. Like, this is fun. This happens in the NFL sometimes, where you'll see like a player's dad or a player's brother is like, oh, well, that's the last time you ever see him in a X jersey. And it's like, oh, okay. And that becomes like a talking point. I guess we're not allowed to bring that up here. I don't know what to do.
Right. I mean, it's because you don't have to put your own credibility on it to say his mom said it, right? Because you have a named source. You can just acknowledge, his mom said it. That's better than like,
unnamed club sources.
Yeah, right. whatever they do.
Because now if it falls apart, you pin it right on his mom. Like,
right. But with the anonymous sources, like, that's your credibility you're putting on the line.
Right.
When you put that out, right?
Any opportunity you have to name a source, not to tread into this, I think you probably should, just because, it's like, reputation firewall or something like that. Yeah, absolutely.
So, anyway, Roberto Flores, center back from Club Libertad in Paraguay. He's a speedy center back who, according to I forget the guy's title, but he was from the club that Flores was just on loan with, said that he's fast, he's good in the air, still has a lot to grow, which is great because it's a U22 initiative guy, but also like good in the air and fast. That's the beginning of a profile for an FC Cincinnati center back. Yeah. Right? Like,
that's all of our guys now.
So I like, I'm good with the signing. Glad to see us getting depth that way. Somebody with some upside. His team just won the Paraguay Super Cup. He didn't appear. I don't know if it was because of the transfer or him just coming back on loan or whatever. The other thing I want to mention is the Club Libertad is the same club that Diego Gomez came from. Gomez was the Miami U22 signing who just signed a big transfer to Brighton in the Premier League.
That's right.
And there are, it's a club with a decent record of developing talent. They have another guy whose name I can't recall, who is on the radar of, or was linked to Houston as well. And the club president in that interview said that guy is probably going to move next window because they brought that up. So, but there may be somebody from this club moving to Houston either this window or next window or somewhere else. But anyway, it seems like they're, a fairly successful club, good proving ground for talent. This is a guy who got a lot of minutes, a lot of starting minutes too.
Yeah.
While he was on loan as a young player, and that's really what you want to see. For me, that's what I look for with these U22s coming in, because I haven't done the scouting report
right
that FC Cincinnati's done. I want to see, is the guy a pro?
Right.
Has he been playing big boy minutes in a professional league? And he has. And so I'm not saying he's going to come in and displace teenage Hadebe or anything, but we were thin at the center back with moving out Cheeto and Ian Murphy. Bringing in a U22 is a way to get somebody with, in particular, somebody like, a replacement for somebody like Murphy, a young center back. But bringing in a U22 allows you to spend more, get somebody who is either better now. I'm not going to say he is or not, but certainly somebody you think has a higher ceiling, but is on a cap hit restriction by occupying that U22 slot. So he's not going to take up more than $200,000 in salary cap for the duration of his time on that first contract.
Yeah.
As long as he's a U22 player, which he can keep until I think 26.
Okay, so that's what I was going to ask you. He's 21 now.
The reporting was a 3-year contract. So,
okay.
There was no reporting around option years.
Okay. So yeah.
So minimum until he forces his way out.
when he overplays or outplays his contract, yeah.
This is a player who you can have on a small budget hit for at least the next 3 years.
Yeah. So a couple of things to remind me. So he is 21 now. He will turn 22 in April, but because this is a loan with an option to pick up a 3-year deal.
It's not a loan. It's not reported as a loan.
Oh, this is not a loan.
As a
That's
transfer.
Right. This one is a transfer. Okay.
This is, I think, a $2 million-ish transfer is what the reporting was.
Yeah. Okay. I'm confusing my guys here. Yes.
He's in. He's U22 eligible. He's going to take up a U22 slot according to the reporting, and he can take up that through the duration of his first contract with FC Cincinnati,
which is the 3 years. Okay.
Which is the 3 years plus whatever the options are. I assume there's an option or two.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any reporting to that effect.
So then
the team will tell us.
Right. Yeah, that'll come in the actual official announcement of the signing. The other thing is U22s, if they're a little younger, I know that the cap hit is smaller, but at his age, it'll be a flat $200,000 hit against the budget. What's the maximum salary he can make? Is it the
maximum salary budget?
Okay, so the 750,000
change. Yeah.
Okay,
that's the maximum salary he can get as long as you keep him under that number, which presumably they have.
Yeah,
you can give him a massive raise over what he's making in Paraguay, and it's going to be well below that max budget charge.
Yeah. So just in terms of what people are looking at with, I think Ian Murphy's a good example here. Murphy was in line to be making a lot more money, something like $500,000 a year. That could, I
think it was less than that, but
okay.
But it was it was a big jump over his prior salary.
Right. And it definitely would have been
put him on the senior roster spot.
Yes.
Made him now hit your salary budget in a real way.
Yes.
And so it's do we want to have Murphy at,
let's say
$250,000?
Yeah.
Let's say $250,000 against the budget, or get some GAM for him and sign a U22 to essentially take up his role.
Yeah.
Because he probably wasn't going to be expected to start over teenage Hadebe.
Yeah, probably not.
And so now you got somebody who is younger. Maybe you profile them as a higher ceiling. I have no way of knowing that, but you certainly have somebody who's younger who has a ascertained budget hit
right
for the next few years.
Yeah, it's set. That's good. That's nice to see. Yeah, I mean, Ian Murphy is 25 years old right now. So you basically got 4 years younger at that position. And the salary cap hit, if it's not that much cheaper, it is cheaper for longer for sure. Also, not for nothing, Flores is a Paraguay youth international, played at the Olympics, has made a couple of appearances for the U23 team, and assuming he continues to play well, would be in line to make the full international squad for Paraguay, which is fantastic to see. And also, I don't know, it kind of continues a lot of the history we've seen from Albright, which is he does seem to like guys who are fringe national team players. That seems like an actual profile we can put out there. Sometimes there's stalwarts for the teams. Absolutely. That means you're getting a good player. But, you know, if there's two players that are identical and one is making the bench regularly for their national team and the other one isn't in the picture, I feel like the one making the bench is the one that Albright's going to lead towards. So good to see that.
You know, he did make, I think, 4 appearances for Paraguay at the Olympics. And Paraguay did, I think, about as well as the U.S. team did. I don't exactly recall, but I know that they got smoked. I know Paraguay got smoked by Paraguay made the same round as the U.S. and lost to Egypt
on penalties.
And on penalties, yes.
There it is. Okay.
But if if it was if it was a problem that somebody lost to a North African team at the Olympics, we'd have to also kick off Miles Robinson.
Right.
So and I think they got knocked out. I think Paraguay got knocked out by France. Let me check that out.
Or Egypt, you mean?
No, Egypt got knocked out by France. Yeah, no, Paraguay got knocked out by Egypt, which we said.
We've talked about him being a replacement for Ian Murphy. I think that makes a lot of sense to understand this roster move. I will say, at least according to Transfermarkt, he has played center back and is right-footed. So maybe look at him playing more on the right side than on the left side. But TBD. We'll see how that plays out. While we're talking about center backs, at least so far in the preseason, it looks like Miazga and Haglund are still recovering. I don't know that we have a great timeline on them coming back. I don't know if they're expected to be nice and healthy sometime this preseason, or if this is something that might drag into the year. If it drags into the year for both of them, I think Flores may start. It may be a toss-up between him and like Powell or Yedlin playing at center back. So depending on the timeline on some of these other injuries, he could be starting sooner rather than later. So,
well, you got to get him. You got to get him in.
Yeah.
It looks like Flores has been playing on. It looks like he's been playing on the left.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, for Club Sportivo Trinadense. Transfermarkt has him lining up. Yeah, Transfermarkt has him lining up on the left.
Interesting. Okay.
So, I guess TBD.
TBD. Yeah, Transfermarkt has him as right-footed. That's the only thing I'd point out there. But yeah, that takes us to our next signing. Lucas Engel, the Danish left back, also left midfielder. He's on loan from Middlesbrough, who is in the championship.
Hold on.
Oh,
Middlesbrough.
Sorry.
Middlesbrough.
Middlesbrough. 26 years old. He is one of what feels like a million Middlesbrough players making their way over to MLS these days. I feel like their entire team is in the shop window right now. Yeah, I mean, you talk about a guy who has played professionally. He's got a very long career in the Danish First Division and Danish Superliga, which I'm going to assume is the second division there, or one of the others.
I think the Danish Superliga is the first division.
Okay,
I think it's the top tier.
And then there is the Danish First Division.
Well, in England, it's the Premier League, the Championship,
of course,
League One and League Two.
Well, Denmark said, "Hold my beer." We can make that way more confusing. It is literally the Danish First Division is the second division. So yeah, played in the second division, played in the first division. Middlesbrough, the 2023-24 campaign was his first full season there with them. He's been there since 2023. He comes to FC Cincinnati on loan. There is a purchase option at the end of this. Grayson, what do you make of what I assume is our new starting left back?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he has played all up and down the left in his career.
Yes.
Obviously, even in Denmark, he was like a winger.
Yes.
I think bodes well for the system. I mean, it's not uncommon where Obi was a winger in Hungary.
Right.
Like, it's not uncommon where you're the best guy in the team at one level, and then, you get pushed back as you go up levels of soccer.
DeMarcus Beasley's career just as time went on, slowly moving further back into the left.
I would love some insight on what happened that he played like 34 matches and 2,400 minutes for Middlesbrough last year, and seems to have gone out of favor this year.
Yeah.
I know it looks like they signed somebody for his position who took it over. Engel was out of the 18 entirely for a big chunk of the year. I didn't find anything linking him to an injury. All that said, though, a fringe Middlesbrough player would be somebody who would also be like on the fringes or in the U.S. men's national team.
U.S. men's national team Twitter would be beating down the doors to get this guy into the lineup.
If there was a guy who was even a backup for this team, who was American, you have somebody like Matthew Hoppe who couldn't get any minutes.
He is literally
for them
on trial. I think with Vancouver, Matthew
Vancouver. But he's somebody who has multiple appearances and call ups for the U.S. men's national team.
Of course,
right? Aiden Morris is in this team. Is I think probably in the U.S. MNT regular category at this point. So it's good pedigree. I like that he has been playing more defensively, but has it in his experience to play higher up. I do think that this is the kind of signing where this is somebody who isn't like Yamil Assad or Barreal or Shano,
right?
Where they're really just going forward and that's their only responsibility. This is somebody you could envision playing in a back four, or even if you play the back three with the wing backs, he and Yedlin both give you the opportunity, depending on the situation, to shift to a back four when you're, in possession and you're attacking. Yeah. Right. So I think this is positional flexibility. We heard from Noonan that they were looking at a left wing back. I like the profile. I like the team he's coming from. I can't speak to the player. I have not watched any footage of him playing. But this is certainly in the realm. It's not as spicy as like a Santiago Arias
Right.
signing, but this is, I think, in the realm of, better case scenarios for the person you're bringing in position.
Yeah. It's also another instance of Albright. I mean, I don't know how long these things are in the works, right? But like, it feels like he pulls a loan out of a hat when we're not expecting it. And we get what I hope to be a very good player on loan. Therefore, I would presume on some sort of budget discount. At the very least, there isn't a transfer fee attached to this.
Laurel said no loan fee.
Good. Like to hear
There's
that.
There's an option to buy. With no loan fee, I think there is a question of what is the salary share. He's not on massive money with Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
If you believe what you find online, I mean, the internet places him at about $650,000 a year.
Yeah.
Which is under the max salary budget charge.
Yeah.
So like, it's not a salary that would weigh you down if you're taking on all of it.
Yep.
So any portion that the other team is keeping for now is just, free money from the government.
Yeah. Yeah. If they're somehow able to pull a 50-50 split on that salary, I have no idea what these things look like or what even the normal situation is with this, to be perfectly honest. But a number around 300,000 for FCC to have this guy is incredible and very well done. Now, again,
but you could, I wouldn't be surprised if his team took on some salary. I mean, he is fully out of favor with them for whatever reason. So they are probably actively looking for an off ramp.
Yeah.
And they're not going to get that with him just sitting on the bench. Like, they're better off with him getting minutes, getting exposure than sitting on the bench. But I haven't seen any reporting on it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have all the salary.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Middlesbrough has a portion of it. But even if we have all the salary, we haven't seen him play, so we can change our mind. But even if we have all the salary, I'm perfectly happy with this move.
Yes. Correct me if I'm wrong. The team will release the budget hits from all the players. I know last year they did like the team releases roster profiles. So they tell you who's a DP, who's a U22, who's getting TAM, who's getting GAM. They don't tell you how much, but tell you who's a TAM player, who's a GAM player. They tell you who's an international, which they always did, kind of. And they tell you the length of all contracts, including option years. That's right. Okay.
And if last year's any indication for players on loan, we get what their contract would be as currently negotiated if the purchase option is exercised. That's right. That's why Kelsey had options out to like 2029. Right. Even though he was just on loan for the year, right? But the team is not going to release the budget hits sometime sometime after the winter transfer window ends.
April or May. That's right.
The union will publish the base salary and guaranteed comp for every player, and for it sounds like if it's a player on loan and the team is only on the hook for a portion, the union only reports that portion.
That's what it was.
Which is why Orishano was reported at like $89,000 last year.
Right.
He was making more than that.
Let's hope.
It's just what was it? Vasco da Gama?
Yeah. Vasco da Gama
was paying the rest of it.
Yeah. Lots more. Yeah.
And I do think there was probably some trickery where we paid a loan fee and covered it with GAM. So it didn't show up as salary, but it defrayed what Vasco da Gama was paying him in in wages.
Right.
I think that there was an arrangement
Yeah.
to that effect, but I don't. Who knows?
Okay.
Maybe.
So maybe,
but you could do that.
Okay. So maybe with the union salary data, we may be able to figure out backwards maybe how much FCC is covering on this thing. Okay.
Yep.
As a keeper of one of these absurdly inaccurate spreadsheets, I'm trying my best to suss out what we're working with here. So,
I mean, I would just put him at. I would put him at his full.
Just put the full thing, and then
at his full salary, and then change it if something is released.
Yeah. So there you go. Well,
all right, Kevin. Based on your spreadsheet,
yes.
How out of compliance with the budget are we with these two signings?
Okay, so with these two signings, and again, we're looking at budget hits and the modifiers with U22s, et cetera, et cetera. This still has Lucho Acosta on the team. And for that matter, Kubo. You factor in all of that and a 2 DP model, which gives us the 2 million extra GAM. I have us in the hole $200,000.
It doesn't sound bad.
It's not too bad. Now, again, anything you get back on Angle's salary, you're loving life. We are still one transfer away, ideally at this point, I guess, Lucho Acosta, from sitting pretty. If we can maximize the 3 million GAM coming back, honestly, look out, world. there's a lot we can do.
Did you convert the $300,000 loan fee that we're getting for Barreal?
So this number includes the $300,000 for Barreal and the $75,000 that we got for Kevin Kelsey officially signing for the Portland Timbers. So yes, unfortunately, I have tried to give us as much money as possible.
Well, so a couple of things. One is, as we've mentioned before, if you do transfer a player out, you can convert up to $3 million
right.
in total transfer fees a season to GAM. So, and that includes this new cash for players intra-league transfer market.
Yes.
So if, say, Lucho Acosta is sold for a transfer fee, that doesn't just solve our issue. It puts us in a big in the black by a big number, right? And that GAM, I believe, never expires.
Yeah. So
so that's money that you can use in the future. And the other thing I want to say on it is, we're not this is obviously a working number.
Yes.
Whatever number anybody comes to on these spreadsheets, it's fake until roster compliance date.
100%.
So FC Cincinnati is not over the salary cap right now or anything
Correct.
like that. They are working out their roster, and worst case scenario, you buy out Corey Baird, that solves this issue, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the thing is pick your poison of Baird, Santos, or even at this point, Kubo, right? You buy one of them out and this all cleans up very, very quickly. To your point about the Lucho sale. So the Lucho sale, presumably we would get more than however much we need to make this good, but let's say more than $3 million. That could all be converted into GAM. Kind of, sort of, because you're adding in the 300,000 from Barreal, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, the max.
All right, so 2.7.
Right. So the max you can hit is 3-ish total. If you were to sell Lucho Acosta and sign another U22, so I'm going to presume another $200,000 hit, and you're taking all of Lucas's salary, Your only DP in this case is Kevin Denke. Never mind the fact that accounting wise, it would make a lot of sense to make like Orishano and Robinson DPs or something. Denke is your only DP, and you go the 3 DP model. We still have $1 million to play with. So
that's a DP and 2 more U22s.
Yeah.
Close to it.
Yeah. If you went 2 DP model with Denke and someone else, presumably the aforementioned Lucho Acosta replacement, you have about $3 million to play with. You can go make a big trade inside of the league. Maybe not a cash offer in the league, but maybe you go out there and find another disgruntled player somewhere and bring him into the midfield maybe. So there's a lot of wiggle room to play with here. And again, these numbers are all made up. I'm probably way off, but it's something to mess around with now that we've finally got some GAM totals. So there we are. I guess to that point, let's talk about it. Lucho Acosta, I'm acting like we're selling him. Grayson, he showed up to training. He's a FC Cincinnati player now, right? We're all good.
Yeah, he got a haircut. Sounds like he's back, baby.
Let's go. Sadly, it's probably not quite that easy for us in this case. By all accounts, every bit of reporting we've heard from Tom Bogert, primarily in this case, but you hear whispers in and around the club. Nobody's anticipating this guy being here this season. I guess things can change, but everything Acosta has said since the day he walked off of, or since the moment he walked off the field after the playoff loss to NYCFC, he has said he's not coming back. He hasn't changed his tune. I do think that him maybe facing some fines from the team for every day he wasn't reporting might have got him to show up. But I don't think Acosta's here for the long term. I don't know. Grayson, is there any reason for hope, or should we just be happy we see pictures?
There's always reason. There's always reason for hope. I think that all of the chatter is he's moving on.
Yeah.
And like I've made my peace with it. From the team standpoint, I do think that there is a post Lucho future that doesn't require us to kind of, scuffle for a few years. I do think that with the right player coming in, you can see the team even improve. Because you can imagine scenarios where, maybe you get to use multiple good players. Instead of just one good player. And so there's hope. There's hope of him coming back. There's hope if he moves on. I think at this point in time, I am preferring he move on just because it seems entirely needless that we had to deal with this in the first place.
Yeah.
And so I would rather not, have to process complicated feelings about how we feel about making him captain after throwing the team into disarray in the off season for, again, no apparent reason.
Yeah.
That makes any sense. I also don't want the situation where they didn't find some place for him this window and he's just kind of, jogging back and forth for half the year to wait for a transfer out in the summer. Like, to me, that is the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Is they keep him this window and transfer him out in the summer.
The Brenner special.
That feels the Brenner special, but like with a much more central player.
Yeah.
And so like you can't really replace him with him in the team in that way.
Yeah.
So like that would be bad because that feels like a lost season.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
But happy to see him move on to South America. if he does end up transferring within the league, which I think Tom Bogert has mentioned that as a possibility, others have mentioned that as a possibility. I feel like he's reached Boo territory.
Yeah.
Like if he goes to a team that was mentioned is Dallas.
Cool.
Dallas comes to Cincinnati this season.
You boo him.
I'm not telling anybody what to do, but I do think that nobody could tell you not to.
I'll tell you, boo him.
That's what I'm saying. Like you're fully justified in booing it.
Right.
Because like, it's one thing to be like, oh, I have to go back home to Argentina or back to South America, which is closer to Argentina.
Right.
For whatever reason. It's another thing to be like, no, I'll go to Dallas.
Yeah. They got a slightly closer flight. Oh, okay, man.
I just don't want to be in Cincinnati. Right. Like that's the message at that point. And I'm sorry, like that's a boo.
Yeah.
Like for me, that's a boo.
Like, hey, I'm here, whether I want to be or not, I guess. But I have chosen to be here, and yeah, you have decided to not only forsake our city, but has really caused some problems for the team. Like this team was ready to build around him, and that I mean, if there's a complaint in all of this, I guess it's that like Lucho was such a special player that it would have been dumb not to build the team around him, but now the team is built around him. And so if he flies off the handles, we're kind of at the mercy of his attitude. Like it's very weird. And I don't like it. That's why I am very much on team rip the Band-Aid off and let's see what happens next. He needs to go before they can replace him though, right? Like I guess in theory, you could bring in somebody else. As you said, you're not out of compliance until compliance day, whatever that is, the day of the first game or the day before the first game. But I don't see a world where like, let's just go back to the old well. Weston McKennie shows up and Lucho's here. And then we turn around and try to start selling Lucho. I don't know.
Yeah. That's a tough question because I think the conventional wisdom is if you bring in the replacement for your DP before you move on from your DP, you are going to take a bath on that transfer.
Right.
Because teams know that you're desperate and you have to move them to be compliant.
Right.
I think that's a fair observation. I think the question is though, what is the interest in the player?
Right.
Because yeah, if no teams or one team is interested in your DP and you bring in the replacement first, well, they know that there's no market for that guy and you have to move him so they can name their own price.
Right.
But once there's two or more teams that are interested, and I don't know if there are, but once there's two or more teams that are interested, doesn't the market just take over for the player at that point?
Yeah, probably.
And because they're thinking, okay, well, like if you're Dallas and another team that has come in recently was Estudiantes,
yep,
or at least rumored recently, who were reportedly trying to snake the Sebastian Driussi move to River Plate for $10 million. Like $10 million for Sebastian Driussi is like insane.
What? How is Lucho not worth a little bit? Come on.
So, but if this team was willing to put out $10 million for Sebastian Driussi, you think, well, that team also is a real player for a better player, Lucho Acosta.
Yeah.
And so if like Dallas is willing to pay 10 or 12 or whatever is like the neighborhood of the, I think it was rumored Dallas bid 12 for Evander.
Yeah.
So let's say they would be willing to go in for 8 for Lucho.
Yeah.
And then Estudiantes is like, well, we'll beat 8, right? Well, like now it's a bidding war.
Yeah, now we're great.
Because Dallas's alternative is paying 12 for Evander.
Right.
Right. And Estudiantes' alternative is paying 10 plus or whatever for another comparable player. So now they're thinking, well, I'm still willing to go up higher for Lucho.
Yeah.
Right. And it doesn't matter that you might be desperate to sell because you have 2 buyers.
Right.
So it doesn't. I don't know enough about the market for Lucho.
Yeah.
I am a little surprised at the money that Argentina is Argentinian teams are throwing around. Like,
yeah, this feels new.
It does feel new, and I was trying to get to the bottom of it, and what the best I could tell based on some articles is that it might be different because they might have opened up the ability for private investors to invest in Argentinian teams. I think they're owned by like fan associations or something, but
probably something kind of like Germany where they have to be majority owned by a fan.
The article I was reading actually kind of compared it to the German restrictions.
Okay.
But Argentina has a new president, Francisco D'Anconia. Name was actually Javier Milei. That was a joke for somebody out there. I'm not going to explain it. That he really favors private ownership of Argentine teams.
Right.
So there was I think a guy who's like the son of the former owner of Liverpool has put some money into Estudiantes.
Okay.
And that's the source of them splashing the cash a bit. So if teams are, because they're getting in bed with big moneyed interests or bigger moneyed interests than they had before, willing to throw money around, that does make Argentina more of a viable destination for Lucho.
Yeah.
And Estudiantes, it's not like I know people say he wants to go back to Boca. He also did play for Estudiantes.
Yeah.
It's not like he's going to River.
Right. Right. Estudiantes, by the way, has one of the best nicknames in all of soccer. Like any good classic South American club, they have like 9 nicknames, but one of them is the Rat Stabbers, which is a good nickname, I think, for a team for Lucho to play with. They had a reputation for being a very dirty team, so that's good. I mean, good and bad that there's a lot of money going in to some of these Argentinian teams, because it certainly looks like there's an off ramp for a lot of bad investments for MLS, but you play it out a little bit and you get the feeling that MLS may have stiffer competition pulling some of these guys away, which is where you would have gotten your Jerussis and Luchos in the first place. So definitely a trend to keep an eye on, more competition in the hemisphere. So Lucho showing up. Yeah, folks, don't get your hopes up. It's still probably not there. This I think was heavily rumored the last time we recorded. I'll touch on it here. Alvaro Barreal is officially gone on loan to Santos. I apologize if I'm doing this news twice. I do not remember if we touched on this before, but they said he has extended the length of his contract. He signed an extension with FCC to go out on loan with Santos. They are paying a $300,000 loan fee to bring him in, and according to, I believe this was Tom Bogert saying this, that Santos is picking up 100% of Barreal's salary. So that certainly helps the accounting for FC Cincinnati. A little money coming back, his huge salary going away. I do think it's interesting, though. Oh, there's a 65% matches played trigger. So if he plays in 65% of Santos's matches, they automatically trigger a purchase option of $4 million for Alvaro Barreal. You can certainly imagine a scenario where 1 year from today, we are right back in this situation with a very expensive Barreal, who maybe doesn't quite fit mathematically on this team, and we're looking for what to do with him. But in the meantime, let's hope he does well at Santos with his new teammate, Neymar Jr. Congratulations. Hopefully you don't have to play, face off against him for playing time. Let's see how that plays out. But no more Barreal, but maybe Barreal. Grayson, if you had to bet, are we doing this again next year?
I mean, yeah.
It's probably the safest bet right now.
if you had to put money on, is another team going to pay FC Cincinnati money for Alvaro Barreal to play with them on a permanent basis moving forward under direct contract with that team, you would have to bet against that.
Yeah. I mean, he, at a minimum, he needs to have like one good season of game footage on him. And then maybe Santos doesn't buy him, but somebody else might want him for $2 million. And we can all be happy with whatever that looks like, right? But like, he just hasn't played consistently good for a team not named FC Cincinnati in so long. It's getting tough. It's getting tough. We touched on Kevin Kelsey. I've got one last thing for FC Cincinnati here. Yuya Kubo has still not shown up to training. We have reporting from Laurel Failer that he is in town. I took in town to mean Cincinnati, which is good, but the team is in Florida and he has not reported yet. So, and I'm pretty sure he lives here. So I don't know. I don't know if him being in town helps us here, but I will say, if you'll indulge me, the Post, I reached out to Yuya Kubo's representation for comment. I did not get comment back. So there you go. That's your Big J journalism update on this one. Did not even get a courtesy email back, to be clear, but I did ask if they had comment. What the heck? Grayson, what should we make of this? Does he show up in Florida Monday and we all laugh about this later, or is there something bigger going on here? I do not understand this.
I'm not making anything of it.
Yeah.
Like it's weird that there's nothing really out there about it. I mean, there's a lot of, I don't want to add to the speculation.
Sure.
Right? Because there is speculation that I think is frankly pollution at this point. Just because it's like, well, maybe he's, and I guess I'm acknowledging the speculation here, but they're like, well, maybe he's upset about his money.
Right.
Or maybe he's he wants to just have the same position he wants to play forward. Feels like he performed as a forward last year. None of that has been sourced to anything.
Right.
As far as I could tell, like it certainly hasn't been linked to coming from Kubo or his camp.
Yeah.
And so like, I don't want to take other people speaking for him as him speaking.
Yeah. Right.
So, I guess this is one where I am just thinking, stay tuned.
Yeah.
The only thing I would add to that is there was talk about, well, he underperformed his previous contract and he overperformed this contract, but he never offered to give any of that money back.
Yeah.
So why should the team pay him more money now? I'm like, well, that's how the team looks at things. You didn't give me any of my season ticket money back first 3 years. The second you were decent, you raised the price by like a third.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if we want to talk about like who owes who money, I will put a report together and we'll talk about what are reasonable expectations based on, giving money back if you're not so good. And then what you're asking for now that you have been decent.
Yeah.
I don't like that line of argument from the team's perspective. As a fan, I'm like, yeah, you signed a contract. Right. But the whole like, whatever, the whole like, he's not giving like his old contract money back. I'm like, yeah. And I didn't get.
Right.
and get my 2019 refund.
It does make me wonder, though. Would you sign up for a season ticket package where they charged you some sort of nominal deposit at the beginning of the year, but then at the end of the year, you racked up a bill, or maybe you do it monthly, right? I assume cash flow is a concern here. You do it monthly, where for every game that was a win that you had a ticket to, it's like 50% more expensive than sort of the box office price. If it's a loss, you get a 50% reduction. And if it's a draw, you're just paying the flat rate. Would that be at all enticing to anybody? Like, you watch a good team, you're going to play a premium. You watch a shit team, it's not nearly as expensive as you were maybe budgeting. I don't know. Maybe that's enticing to people.
I'm open to that. Let's talk numbers.
Okay. Right.
Let's talk numbers. Let's see what makes sense. But I'm open for FC Cincinnati having incentives built in to our season ticket package.
I like that,
because sometimes I don't feel like I'm being treated like they're operating under any incentive. It's just like you pay to be here.
Right.
And if we're good,
you pay more.
You're gonna pay way more.
My favorite kind of sort of version of this was FC Dallas. Pretty early on, offered a deal where they told the season ticket holders that they would receive a percentage of every transfer fee of the players out of the club. It was something like 5% of the total transfer fee would be divided amongst the season ticket holders as a sort of thank you for being a season ticket holder, but also like, here's your repayment for seeing presumably a good player leave the team. They stopped that program the second they sold Ricardo Pepi for $15 million.
With the increased ticket price that we got this past year.
Yeah.
I do think that it would be fair if the team gave us some kind of rebate for everything that happened, like the summer transfer window and after.
Yeah.
Because we
it was pretty rough.
we paid tickets for a Supporters Shield winning team. And then a decision was made. And we weren't going to be that anymore, which was fine. But then we got prices increased again. As if they were really, really good, and they were good for the first half of the year. Happy to pay.
Yeah.
Happy to pay for the first half of last year.
Love that. Second half, not so much. On top of that, we paid for an away day that people will never, ever, ever get to see 1 minute of. So sucks to be you. Is there anything else with regards to FC Cincinnati? No, I'm good. I was thinking of something and I've decided against it.
They beat Montreal 1-0.
That's right.
In a preseason friendly. Evan Loro had an incredible save that you can see video of on FC Cincinnati's Twitter account.
Boom.
The video is out there. Beautiful save.
It exists.
Incredible save. Okay. Just wanted to shout out Evan there, doing what he does. The other is we got a goal from Chirilla.
There you go. Put him right into the lineup. I'm not going to look up his first name. Put him right into the lineup.
Wrong, but it wasn't the Chirilla.
Damn it.
That everybody expected. It was the winning goal was a header by Andre Chirilla, Stefan's younger brother. So it was like a 15-year-old.
Damn.
Heading the ball in this preseason match. And I believe that the corner kick was delivered by Kenji Momodem.
Ooh.
And I'm wondering if we have a new corner kick taker moving forward.
I mean, I feel like
you can watch the video.
Was it good?
It's a nicely delivered corner.
I feel like even if Lucho comes back, I think he has officially lost like any of the privileges he had before, where like he got to take corners just because he wanted to. He got to take penalties even though we had strikers.
And like you want to take like the free kicks outside the box, that's Orishano.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Like to me, right?
Yeah.
But we'll see.
So maybe
anyway,
more to
despite all of it, already winning this year.
So good. What was the other thing? Luigi's cousin
did play
in the game. So there you go.
Yep.
I know
Luigi's cousin Waluigi.
Wario is there. There you go. There's your preseason update. There may be another game. I couldn't tell you when that is because I stopped caring. How's that, Joseph Mamay? I stopped caring. Okay, let's head on over to part 2. We have some Patreon questions to get to, and then we'll get you out of here. Before we get on over to the next part of the episode, I do want to tell you about our friends over at Cincy Shirts. That is right. New year, new you. Go pick up some new threads over at Cincy Shirts. They got what you're looking for. They got Cincinnati sports. They got Cincinnati culture, Cincinnati geography, Cincinnati businesses, everything you're looking for. They got it over there at cincyshirts.com. Hey, when you're there, use the promo code ThePostCincy, all one word, all caps. They knock 10% off your entire order for using that one. And if I don't mind dropping this one, we sell merch through Cincy Shirts. That's right. You want a Post shirt, a Cincy shirt from Cincy Shirts? Check them out. It is good stuff there. We will have new designs for the new year, but they're not there yet. So this might be your last chance to collect some of these designs. You want an Opie shirt, one of the 12. They got some good stuff there. Hey, they're not just online. They're in person as well. Go check them out in Loveland and in Northern Kentucky. They've got 2 fantastic locations. They will print on demand. You can work with them, come up with maybe a little goofy idea. They'll work with you, I promise. And again, the promo code, ThePostCincy, all one word, all caps. They knock 10% off your order. That works on Post merch as well. Want to support us twice? Absolutely, you can do that. So huge thank you again to our friends over at Cincy Shirts, and a huge thank you to you, listener, for using that code. All right, we are back. And also, I should say, in addition to our lovely sponsors, we have a live show. I want to remind you of this. It is happening Monday, February 17th. You may be asking, why does that date stick out to me? Well, that's because it's President's Day, folks. President's Day, you're not working that day. You have no excuse. Come to the Alexandria Gold Star from 7 to 9. It is a live preseason episode of the Postcast. It's going to be a good time. The kitchen's going to be open, so come enjoy the food. If you've not had the burgers, the chili, give them a try. This is your chance. We're going to have some fun at this show. Just a couple of hours, kick back, enjoy the preseason. It is as good as the team will ever be. They'll be undefeated when we are talking to you on February 17th. Again, good times there. So that does take us to the Patreon questions. The Patreon is where the lovely, fine, attractive folks, our patrons, they support us financially, keep the show afloat because we need it. Okay, we need it. The hosting costs, everything else, that all costs money. These folks drop $2 a month to keep us alive, and for their hard-earned cash, they get to ask a question to put on the podcast where we answer it. And here, Grayson, I ask you this question from De Drizzle. It's kind of piggybacked off of our Lucho discussion previously. He says, I am here in the acceptance phase of Lucho Acosta, never playing for the orange and blue again, and the election. I sit and wonder, do you think President Biden remembers a 5'3" Argentinian child asking him to grant his citizenship to play for the U.S. in the Copa America? If only it had been granted, maybe, just maybe, many things would have been different. This does actually speak to something I've thought. Did Lucho maybe get bad news on the whole World Cup citizenship thing, and now his desire to stay in the U.S. has changed radically?
I do think that there's a possibility that, I mean, there was always a possibility, depending on how his time out of the country was viewed in light of COVID and things.
Yeah.
Whether it restarted the clock for his continuous residency. And if it did, he was never going to be eligible, even if he got citizenship. He wasn't going to be eligible under FIFA's rules until 2026. And that is almost certainly too late to put yourself into World Cup discussions.
Yeah.
And he's not going to be around for the 23rd.
No.
So it's possible that played a part in him not caring that whether he's in the US or not.
Yeah. This also reminds me, Biden awarded Leo Messi the Presidential Medal of Freedom, was it? I think it was the Freedom.
God, I wish he didn't do that. Yeah, it was the Presidential Medal of Freedom, I think.
I ask you right now, on January 26th, does Messi know he won that award?
No.
I don't think so.
No. Not a chance.
I have a feeling that Messi made some sort of agreement deal with a marketing company a long time ago where he doesn't do any of that. He's not aware of anything. They keep 100% of the communication. All he does is play soccer and be with his family. And then every once in a while, they tell him what he has to do. He's got to do a commercial. He's got to do a thing. And he does whatever. And they just go out, and their objective is to make as much money for him. And he is just completely unaware. He doesn't know. He's at photo shoots. He doesn't know what product he's selling. That's what I would have done. So that's what I think happened. He won an award. They said, we can't make money on this. No, thanks. We're not going to show up.
Yeah. Whoever's responsible for this, get out. Oh, wait, they got out of here. They're gone.
So to Drizzle's point, maybe that's what would have been different. Oh, God. Here's a good one for you, Grayson, because I don't know that I have a take on this. From KP, which homemade ice cream method is more fun? Plastic bag salt and ice, liquid nitrogen, mechanical ice cream maker, the ball you roll around, or any other method you may have used? Grayson, have you made homemade ice cream before?
Yes, with the like KitchenAid ice cream maker attachment, like the bowl you stick in the freezer.
Yeah.
You churn it, you let it churn in the very, very cold bowl.
Yeah.
I think that's the best. That's the best method. Although, in my experience, a sorbet comes out, like a fruit sorbet comes out better. Is easier to make at home than like ice cream. But your mileage may vary on that.
Yeah. I think the plastic bag salt and ice is probably the most fun, particularly for kids, just because I feel like you kind of blow their mind when you see like just how easy something like that can be made. But I did see one method that was similar to that, but they put it in some sort of round container and then hooked up a contraction to let the container roll around on a treadmill and let the treadmill roll for a while. And it looked like it came out pretty good. So I got to try out treadmill method on that one.
I do think the liquid. I don't like liquid nitrogen ice cream that's like frozen like liquid nitrogen. I think that's what the places that make like the alcoholic ice cream do to make it cold enough. It's too cold. and like I don't need alcohol from ice cream.
Yeah, come on now.
Like I don't need like alcoholic candy. I don't want like a Pez dispenser that is some type of narcotic. I'm not a child. Like it's like, what if it was ice cream? But what if you just had ice cream?
Yeah, right.
And then you had a drink out of a snifter, like a man.
Like you could make like, I guess like a rum float with ice cream. I guess is like as
sure, but that's a
thing.
It's cocktail adjacent.
Right.
And like making like a frozen drink on the beach. Right?
Of course,
like that's all fine.
But
you don't need to make like I don't need like
an alcoholic cereal.
Marshmallow.
Yeah,
exactly. Also, like the cereal they make for adults now, where it's like I have to. They always used to advertise this on like the Total Soccer show.
Oh, the Magic Spoon.
Yeah. Where it's like, remember how you used to like really like eating your Lucky Charms, but now you're 40 and it's bad for you? Well, what if you had that nice little pleasure where you feel like mama's favorite little boy, but it's not bad for you? Magic Spoon.
But also, what if it doesn't taste good too? Ta-da! We got you. Just if you ever find yourself in that position, folks, here's the trick. Just have a little bit of Lucky Charms. It's okay. Just have a little bit. It's all right. Enjoy yourself. Go have fun.
I used to tutor at a Cincinnati public school, and I was signing in one day, and the teacher was walking in with like some pizza. I was like, "Hey, you brought pizza?" And she's like, "Well, yeah, it's for the kids. It's not for you." And I was like, "That's okay. I'm an adult. I can have pizza whenever I want. I can leave here right now and get pizza. Like, I don't need you to bring me pizza."
I love that so much because it does sort of that almost works as like the counter to the company's doing really well, and so everybody gets a pizza party and everybody's like, well, just pay me more. Totally get it 100%, but also there's a teeny tiny part of me is like, yeah, pizza party, hell yeah. Love pizza parties. Here you go from Matt Reeder. As considering it's a new calendar year, in fairness to Matt, he asked this 3 weeks ago, so it's slightly more relevant back then. Considering it's a new calendar year and a new league year, what is one New Year's resolution you'd recommend for each position group on the FC Cincinnati roster? So let's go goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, attackers. Let's keep it very basic. Don't want to go too in depth. A New Year's resolution for the goalkeepers. This is an obvious one, primarily aimed at Roman. Let's stop a penalty kick, boys. Let's get maybe 2 penalty kick stops in one game. That would be dope. I would love to see that.
My New Year's resolution for Roman is to become more comfortable coming out of the box and snuffing out, like don't just wait. If a ball gets played over the top, maybe you can get to it, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just waiting and then being stuck in the goal on your heels when it comes through. I am a big fan of Roman.
100%.
I think he's done really well here. I still think he's young enough. He's got he's got growth, and that's one area where, I think he could grow.
More punching would be fun. I was always a fan of Oliver Kahn, so just more punching. Other players or the ball, whichever. That was Oliver Kahn's take. Defenders. Oh.
Stay healthy.
Yes, drink lots of milk. No more lacerations. Midfielders.
More of them. Procreate.
Book is doing his part. He just had a kid. Yeah, I definitely think
just in time too for that birthright citizenship.
That's a good point, actually. It's pretty fun that you can just like write something on a piece of paper and just parts of the Constitution don't matter anymore.
I'm always saying this.
Yeah, I would say leave yourselves open for new experiences. And then for the forwards, gosh,
one of you lead the team in goals.
Ooh, when's the last time we had a forward lead the team in goals? Brenner and
Brandon.
Okay,
in 2022.
So, yeah, okay. Man.
Because Lucho led the team in goals in 23 and 24.
And in 21, it was Kubo. Oh, I guess
no, 21 was, I think, Brenner. 20 was Kubo.
20 was Brenner. That's right. That's what it was.
Kubo was the lead.
Counting it as a forward, though.
In 2020 with 3 goals.
3 goals, folks. Leading goal scorer, 3 goals. That gets you relegated. So yeah, there you go. That's the New Year's resolution for the groups. Oh, this is a good one from Red Lee, who, oh my gosh, every time I click something on this page, it jumbles around. Who on the postcast would make the best referee? Feel free to ref anything besides soccer. Which FCC player, current or former, would you most like to see become a referee?
This sounds like 2 questions.
Red Lee has 2 names, so the answer to the second question.
Somebody suggested to me that we raise our price to $3. And maybe.
That makes me want to drop our price to $1.
Go ahead, Kevin.
I was just going to say the obvious answer is make Matt Miazga a referee because I think he would be a lot of fun at company parties.
Then which of the post folks would be a good referee?
Even in non-soccer things.
Non-soccer?
I mean, anybody who maybe has a law degree is, I think, therefore qualified to be a judge. I don't know. How do you become a judge? Can anybody become a judge? Like, could I run to be a judge somewhere and win? What happens?
I mean, no and yes. It depends on the kind of, depends on the state, depends on the county, depends on the type of, because there's like roles in some states that have like the title of judge that are like elected posts.
Right.
But they're not like judges like you think of it.
Right. Okay.
But I think, you have to have a law degree to run for judge in Ohio. I don't think you have to have a law degree to be on the Supreme Court.
The U.S. or the Ohio Supreme Court?
The United States Supreme Court.
Yeah, because
that's governed by the Constitution.
It's whoever the president wants, and as long as the Senate confirms them.
Bet I get like there have been people on the Supreme Court that didn't have law degrees because you used to not necessarily go to law school. You just read a bunch of books and like showed up one day and you're like, hey, I'm learned.
Was Taft a lawyer? Probably. Had to be. Yeah.
But like Lincoln, I don't think went to law school. I think Lincoln read and like apprenticed.
Right. little more loosey goosey. But there isn't
obviously Lincoln wasn't on the Supreme Court. You know, parts of him were. That doesn't make any sense.
There's an alternate history where he does make it to the Supreme Court, but there isn't like a master's program where you go get your judge degree, right? Like law degree is all you need.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Which is why, like in local politics, it's often been a thing where it's like, you know, you get booted off a city council, run for judge.
Right.
Because it's another thing you could run for. No one cares that you haven't practiced law in 20 years.
Right. You got the name recognition. Yep.
You got the name recognition and you have a law degree, which is all you need.
Boom. Well, I would say anybody on this podcast with a law degree would be qualified to be the best judge, which in a lot of ways is a law referee. So there you go.
I think Kevin would be a really good referee for some kind of like very like rules based, like rule heavy debate or academic kind of competition.
Okay.
If there was like some where people were like doing Robert's Rules of Order at each other, I think Kevin, you would be a great referee for that.
That could be fun. I have had it been said to me many times that people enjoy how I explain board game rules to them. So that's pretty enticing. So if you need a very dense board game explained to you, I'm your guy. I say this as somebody who has played multiple games of Twilight Imperium with all of the expansions, 8 players. This, again, is a reference for like 2 people. But if you know what I'm talking about, you know how dense that was. And yes, that game took 13 hours long to complete. So there you go. Maybe there will be a Patreon tier to make us all play Twilight Imperium one day. That was fun. 3rd edition, in case it comes up. Okay, let's wrap us up with one last question here from Drew100001. Drew asks, favorite soccer movie or show? Grayson, do you have a favorite soccer movie or show? There's weirdly not a lot to pick from, despite it being the world's game.
Escape to Victory.
Escape to Victory was very good. If you did not hear us talk about that in the off season last year, we were able to watch a bunch of movies, and Escape to Victory is the Sylvester Stallone Pele Michael Caine movie about some POWs escaping via a soccer game, which is very good. Bend
It Like Beckham is a good movie. I like that movie.
Yeah. My favorite is Shaolin Soccer, though, which I think is on Netflix. It's the same folks who did Kung Fu Hustle. It's very funny. It's like over the top Kung Fu stuff, but with soccer. So it's a good one. I feel like it's very underrated as well. So there you go. There's a bunch more questions here. A lot of them are talking to the chief. So I will have to hold off on some of these. Maybe we do a listener heavy episode next time around. But with that, Grayson, is there anything else? Are we missing anything else here before we wrap up our time? Any late breaking news?
So I do have so as people may know, it was a Sundance Film Festival this week.
Oh, yes.
It's still ongoing.
Yes.
Cincinnati has a delegation there to help pitch. The mayor is there. The city manager is there. I'll stop there. But there's a lot of people there that are pitching the city. All 3 bids are present. There's Cincinnati, Boulder, Colorado, and a joint Salt Lake Park City bid. And I have some, I guess, been kind of following it in the news and talking to folks, and I got some quick hit
please.
updates. One is the Park City Salt Lake bid, as I understand it, is like very heavy on the Salt Lake side and would have a much more limited Park City presence, which I'm not sure people like really appreciate that yet.
Yeah.
Because Salt Lake is like 45 minutes from Park City without traffic.
Ugh. You have like buses or something, that would be rough. Yeah.
There have been some people who I guess are passing out some kind of no Ohio stickers and things. I do know that the city manager, somebody yelled no Ohio at her. And I want to say, like, folks, agree.
Yeah.
Cincinnati.
Don't put it in Ohio. Put it in Cincinnati.
Put it in Cincinnati. But I also think that, like, if there are people who are viewing that as some type of threat, it shows that it's viewed as a potential real destination.
Yeah.
For the thing. As I understand it, there was a gala recently where all three cities were present, but the committee was very much told not to talk to any of the cities at all over the course of that gala. They brought a Jeff Ruby's chef with them or something like that.
Ooh.
Which is pretty good.
Nice.
Pretty smart. And I think that the read is that Boulder is feeling very confident.
Okay.
About their chances. So I think that's pretty much sums up.
Yeah.
What I understand to be the state of play.
Did I hear something along the lines of, if they don't, that they might try to reopen the bidding if they're not happy with?
I haven't heard that there was a plan to do that. I have heard that people think that the committee might do that.
If it comes down, basically, if they pick Cincinnati, they want to reopen it. Would be my guess.
There is some fear of there is some fear of that.
Yeah.
But they're going for it.
Yeah.
Like the city's going for it. They're there. They got a seat at the table. And they're gonna do everything that they can. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what money other areas are putting up, but I was told a number that the city would be expected to put up, and the city and county combined have exceeded that number. So the commitment is there. The big companies in the area they're all present in these things. They've participated. They've tried to push it. So, there is commitment, there is effort, and I do, regardless of how it shakes out, I like to see Cincinnati, pushing for things, trying to get things.
Yeah, not unlike the NWSL bid. They're not all going to break your way, but I like that we're in the mix for it, right? We're trying as a city. We're a city that is believing in itself and putting itself out there. And I like that. So, make the, I'd like to say like the coastal elites worried, but like the Rocky Mountain states that we're bidding against is not really the coast. So yeah, take that, other flyover states. So yeah, there you go. I appreciate the update, Grayson there. Well, until then, Grayson, I give you the honor of giving us our parting words here.
Fuck Columbus.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Cincy Postcast. It is a production of The Post Cincy. You can check us out at thepostcincy.com or just click a link in the description to check out some of our written work. It also has links to our social media accounts across all sorts of different platforms, including YouTube, where we are trying to do more and more video content. Please, dare I say it, like and subscribe and leave a comment. But no, that would be really, really helpful. I also want to give a thank you to Jim Trace and the Makers. They're a local Cincinnati band who provided all of the music for this episode. We love having them on board. You can check them out. Again, link in the description of this episode to find out where they might be playing shows next or where you can listen to more of their music. Also want to give a massive, massive thank you to the awesome and very attractive patrons over on Patreon. It is a voluntary subscription that people take out with no real promise of anything extra that keep this show afloat. And we are so, so thankful to those of you that have decided to take that commitment. If you do like the show, or at least just want to engage with other people who have listened to the show and want to talk about FC Cincinnati, MLS, soccer, or really anything else, you can go on over to Discord. Again, link in the description. Lots of links in the description where you can find a link to the Discord. That's where we are keeping the conversation going 24/7. It feels like it's a really fun group of people in there just talking about FC Cincinnati. And like I said, just about everything else. And finally, I'll say it. If you liked this episode, and given the fact that you've made it all the way to the end, I have to assume you either like it or for some reason cannot reach the stop button. Please share this episode with a friend or family member or someone who likes FC Cincinnati. The best way for us to grow is from a personal recommendation from somebody who likes it. And if that's you, please tell other people. And if you don't have any friends, feel free to give us a review on whatever your podcast platform of choice is. We'll take anything we can get. But again, a huge, huge thank you to everybody for listening to this show. I am blown away that anybody listens to this. So again, I well and truly mean this. Thank you so much for listening.